And then, like, you have to figure out who the murderer is, but it's, like, predetermined, like our salvation. Sorry, I couldn't help it. So it's predetermined who the murderer is, but you don't know. Even if you are the murderer, you don't know. And you just kind of, it's just sort of fun. You play the character.
Y'all act it out?
Yeah, we do.
Or do you watch it and you're commenting or what?
Well, it's kind of a high. So I was going to ask you if you've done one of these before. You've never done one of the murder mystery things?
No. I watched the one on Big Bang, because what's his name?
Was there an episode where they had a murder mystery?
Yeah, they do several of them.
Oh, really? Okay.
Or isn't that right? Don't they? Who's
sitcom?
the guy on there from India that is always doing that?
They do. There is an Indian character on the thing, right? Yeah, I haven't.
I don't know.
So this is like I feel terrible. Any TV past 1999, I just don't know. Joanna just rolls her eyes at me all the time because I haven't watched enough TV.
We play Clue with the grandkids all the time. They love that.
So, and they told me that you're like a master at it.
No, not me.
Who's really good at it? There's somebody.
Brock.
Oh, is he really good?
Yeah.
Does he like take all kinds of notes on his little card as he does
it? I think so.
I remember playing Clue with my dad, and I'm just like marking based on exactly like what people are saying.
But I've always thought, they do this on the Queen Mary. You can go out there.
The ship?
Yeah,
okay.
The evening you have a dinner, and there's a murder, and everybody, you're kind of a big in the deal where you're looking, hunting, playing detective kind of deal.
Not a real murder, I take it.
No.
Okay, that'd be pretty morbid.
It's a big evening. You go.
It's like a role playing kind of thing. That's real.
Like what you were talking about with your family.
What is it about that like,
everybody loves a mystery.
Yeah, and it's always
I love Agatha Christie mysteries.
Yeah,
I used to sit in high school in the back of the room and read either Civil War history or Agatha Christie. Yes, I did. That's how I got through high school. I kid you not.
Those were your two go-tos?
I sat back there and I either read Civil War history or read Agatha Christie murder mysteries. I loved them.
How many Agatha Christie books are there?
There's a bunch of them.
Is she still alive?
No.
When did she pass? When did Agatha Christie?
I don't know. It's a mystery.
Someday we'll find out who murdered Agatha Christie. If ever there was someone who would fake their own death, I feel like it would be Agatha Christie.
Oh, that's happened too. But I can't think of it off the top of my head. But that has happened.
Well, who was the guy that said the reports of my death have been greatly exaggerated? Was that Mark Twain?
Wasn't that Mark Twain?
I think it was Mark. Yeah. I love that quote. That is so funny.
Somebody ran his obit by mistake.
Well, and people that still happens.
That has happened a number of times. That just happened recently to somebody, and I can't remember who it was. I mean, like within the last couple of months.
Yeah, and you see it blow up on Twitter, and then they're like, "I'm not dead, you guys."
Famous people they write their obituaries. They write their articles, and they have them tucked away so they can pull it out and run it. And somebody I wish I could remember now. I should have gotten a hold of that for an illustration, but that just happened.
Well, one that was really interesting. Did you tell me this? I can't remember. When Billy Graham passed, they had planned his obit for so many years that the person who wrote most of it had passed.
No, but that's a great illustration.
So, then they said at the top, contributed to, and I can't remember who it was, but then whoever posted it was just like, it should just show you, like, his longevity and everything, So the person writing the obituary passed away before the person in the obituary. Yeah. Man, that isn't
Yeah, there was a guy that wrote, you've seen the book, 100 Places to See Before You Die?
Yeah.
He died just after he wrote that.
Did he see all the places?
I don't know about that. Hey, I'll give you another one. When I go to Israel, I take people out to, gosh, man.
You've had a long week.
I've had 2 long weeks, and it's hard to think. On a Monday morning, right out of Bethlehem, there was Herod's palace out there, and I cannot think of, all that can go to my mind right now is Macarius, and it wasn't Macarius. Anyway, it was a mountain that Herod had built, and he wanted to be able to see Jerusalem from there.
Wow.
And so they came back, they piled dirt. There was a little town that kind of built down at the base of it, and they came back and they said, we've built this up this high, but you cannot. And he said, well, you will. You just get back and keep doing it. So this place is just built up. And on a clear day, you can see to Jerusalem from there. It's just right out of Bethlehem.
It's a man-made mountain.
It's a man-made mountain. He built a palace into it.
That's fascinating.
And I don't know why my brain isn't working. The Herodian, thank you. And it is just the neatest place to go. Nobody ever goes there. What? And I always take groups there. I have to, get with the guy and just say, yes, we're going to go there, go out there. Well, there's nothing to see. I said, there's all kind of stuff to see. Well, the guy, we never knew where Herod, that's it. We never knew where Herod was buried. But they suspected, this was one of the places because he had numbers of palaces. Well, the guy, and his name escapes me, the Jewish archaeologist who taught, I believe, at the university, university there in Jerusalem, Hebrew University. He was this lifelong expert on Herod. He found Herod's tomb.
Get out.
In the Herodian, down in there, found it, and right after that, fell in the place, hit his head, and died.
Now that is way
That
out
is
there.
weird. It's wild. It's a weird. It is an absolutely fascinating place to go to, and they've done so much archaeological work there. You can go down now. Man, he had everything. He had own private, personal little amphitheater down there. Pools, all kind of stuff. That guy was a genius when it came to engineering.
Oh, really?
Yes, but he was demonically possessed, I believe.
I think so too. Just the stuff that he
Bill
did.
O'Reilly's book, Killing Jesus, has probably the best, when you start reading it, in the first chapter, has the best picture. It's gross, it's ugly, it is nasty, but it is probably exactly correct.
Just like sort of a word picture of who he was.
Of Herod, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and how he died, which was horrible.
Man,
horrible. I won't even talk about it.
Well,
but it was the result of sin in his life.
it's good. Just start with a little bit of light discussion as we get
Monday
going.
morning breakfast time. I could really gross you out if I told you.
I don't want you to. No, you don't need to put. I tell you what. Instead of grossing people out, I was thinking about. Because you said this to me last night. We had the Inspire conference last night, which I thought that went really well.
Yeah,
that was very inspiring. Yeah. Thanks to Brody again for those videos.
We've had 2 really big weeks here. 2 really. Last night was the 7th time I've spoken at this church in 8 days.
Well, and yeah, I actually made a list because you said that to me, and I was like, is he right? And you're exactly. You had Wednesday night Joseph, then you had the deacon retreat, then you had 2 sermons Sunday, and then you had Joseph again, and then you had the Samson thing, the men's retreat.
Yeah.
And then you spoke twice, and so I guess, that's well, I went back. That's a lot.
Sometimes, yeah. So I'm a little. And then that dumb dog of Debbie's work. It jumps up and out the bed at 1:30 this morning, barking like people are invading the house. So you got to get up. It's either me get up and go look, or me tell Debbie, get up and go see what that is.
Well, yeah, that's not going to go very well.
So
you get the shotgun, get the baseball bat, whatever it is, and go, take care of the invaders. How does she get mad at you for making fun of the dogs, or she just takes it?
My wife rarely ever, in all honesty, ever gets mad at me.
Really?
Yeah. How could you get mad at this?
I walked straight into that one.
No, really. But honestly, beyond that, she rarely ever. That's the happiest woman I've ever seen. Listen, look what she's married to. Why wouldn't she be happy? No, she really
man,
is.
you have
She's
had a long week.
Incredibly happy. No,
we need to have her in on the
God gave me a gift when He gave me.
She needs to fill. She just needs to sit in instead of me on one of these podcasts. And y'all could just about. I bet y'all could.
Through this whole COVID thing, we've started cooking a lot together.
I think you mentioned that before. You made
and
anything?
We really have just so enjoyed being in the kitchen together. Kitchen number one. Who's not happy in the kitchen?
I know.
But it's been a lot of fun. We just spend a lot of time doing that. Listen, You can grow older in marriage and deeper in love. It is extremely possible.
Well, I think people see that with you and Miss Debbie, and I think it's a great encouragement. I think that's just another. I mean, I'm sure you know that. That's one of the ways that the Lord used you to lead the church in that way.
Well,
you're even going to. We even decided that last week, where you said you're gonna take that time around Valentine's Day. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, the 7th. I'm going to go through 13 through 16, I believe, this Sunday, which is a short pericope, but it deals with your mind, it deals with your body in living in holiness to God. And if you want to know, what will drain you of your hope, what will drain hope of hope is when we don't live in this way right here. So when I'm done with that, now the next Sunday will be the 7th of February.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump down here to
Chapter 3.
And for the 7th and the 14th, I'm going to deal with those passages there. In the same way, you wives, be submissive to your own husbands, so that even if any of them are disobedient to the word, they may be won without a word. Anyway, I'm going to deal with that on the 7th, and then I'm going to come back, you husbands, in the same way. Verse 7 starts in you. So on Valentine's Day, the women get to come and hear me whoop up on their husbands.
Well, that is what a wonderful gift to them.
But it'll be a great passage. Husbands, in the same way, live with your wives in an understanding way. So that's what I'm going to do the 7th and the 14th.
Makes sense to me.
And then we will jump back over here.
Yeah, back to.
And
well, you still won't be done with chapter 1.
Nope. No,
so you have to come back.
It's packed. Chapter 1 is packed.
It really is something. Yeah. Well, and you said that yesterday, like how much of it is just like 1 or 2 sentences. He just goes on and on.
3 through verse 12 is just one long sentence.
The clause within the clause.
Yeah.
But you outlined that for us yesterday. You said that we should be in chapter 5 by like 2023 or something like that.
We'll get
so
there.
In 24 months, we promise to be done with First Peter.
We'll be done before that.
Maybe you and me could both.
But I'm just going to take my time. I'm just going to go through it. Maybe not every single pericope. I may combine a couple of them if it's appropriate. I don't want my preaching professor to hear that.
I know. Does he listen to all your stuff?
No. Why would he listen to me?
So
David Allen doesn't need to listen to anybody.
Well, I just need to check up on you from time to time. Not to get ideas.
No, it'd probably make him sick.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my stars. Please don't mention my name and your name in the same sentence. That's probably what he would say.
That's pretty funny, actually. And I'm going to remember. I'll remember that one later on. Well, we covered it today already. I guess I'm having a tough Monday, too. I can't put my words together.
We're all tired.
I was going to talk about cooking some more, but I think we probably need to jump back into the text here.
To the text, verse 6. Boy, that's a full verse right there.
I know. I should have put. Oh, I do have my glasses. Let me put this on.
But I'm not a Puritan, so I can't preach just one verse. I had to do 4.
You got a little bit of Puritan in you.
Maybe a little.
Maybe just 10% or so.
Just a little.
Yeah, in this you rejoice, though now for a little while, if necessary, you've been grieved by various trials. And you spent the most time on that verse, there in verse 6.
I did. I spent the majority of time on that.
I think that if necessary clause there is really, really interesting. Mm-hmm. You said, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you said it's
a first-class conditional.
Oh, well, you didn't say that part. Talk about that.
Yeah, I said that.
Oh, you did?
So you don't translate it really with if. We speak that way.
Sure, in English.
We'll speak like that in English, but when you're reading through it, you're going to miss it if you don't stop and realize that the if there is not questionable. It's a first-class conditional. It's since it is necessary.
Okay. Since it is necessary.
It's not if it's necessary. It might be necessary for you, but it's not going to be necessary for you. Listen, since it is necessary for all of us, we're all going to go through trials. And he comes to that various trials. They're going to be so multicolored. Brody goes through trials that are unique to Brody.
Right.
Joseph goes through trials that are unique to Joseph. You go through trials that are unique to Kirkwood. I go through trials that are unique to me. Then they all have certain things that would connect. They may be financial trials. We
Sure.
might all four be in here, financial trials, but they're different shades of financial.
Well,
There's so much, that's the concept there. The idea is these things come at you from every direction. They don't always look like the other person, but they are trials that all of us will go through.
dig into that a little bit more, because I think one of the more difficult things. I mean, obviously, and we talk about this a lot because it is very true. Here in America, religious freedom, we live a fairly comfortable life in the grand scheme of things. So, like, what can we talk about how, like, there's Christians worldwide that are going through
Horrible.
the severe, like, obviously the trials are multicolored, but they're also in severity can be very different as well. Like, just help us find the will of the Lord in that some go through harder times than others.
Well, I don't know that I can fully explain it. I wonder about that many times. Why are we Christians in America? Why do we have it so well?
Yeah.
And the majority of people in the world. However, now listen, let me give you this, because I just read this, and don't ask me who said. I think it came out of the IMB, the International Mission Board. Christians are persecuted, pretty widespread persecution in India.
Yes, I've heard this.
But there is one area of India that just baptized 50,000 people. And the question was, when's the last time anything like that happened in America?
Right.
And there they are in the midst of that persecution, and you can look and see, I wouldn't call that anything but revival. That is a miracle of God right there. 50,000 people who were baptized.
Well, and that's why, it's a little bit of a tangent, but that's why I kind of get frustrated when people in America, like, they don't have that much of a global mindset, and they're like, just, the Lord is just not moving. We need to get back to a time when God is moving. Well, God is always moving.
Boy, he is. Yes, he is moving. You just don't see it much in America.
Well, and that's the sad thing, and that's why we keep praying for revival. I guess yesterday, and we had to contend with this a little bit at the Inspire conference as well, like, God, if necessary, God would then maybe use that persecution to finally bring revival to America.
Yeah, well.
I mean, he's done it before.
See. Yeah.
I guess not in America, but he's done that sort of thing. Before. We had a couple people ask after yesterday. They wanted a little bit more. I told you about this. They wanted a little bit more clarification, because there's some people, genuine Christians, love the Lord, but they might feel insecure because they're not going through a big trial, or maybe they can't discern the trials in their life. Sometimes even leads to question of salvation. Can you talk some about that?
Well, the point is that we're all going to go through trials.
At
now, you
some
may
point.
not be in one right now. There are the daily trials. Surely there's, Paul talked about the daily things that he had to face. Do you not face struggles with temptation every day?
Sure.
We all do. That's a struggle. People that are lost, they don't think about that. People that don't have a relationship with Christ, they never think. They just do what they want to do. Whatever it is they want to do, they just do it. We struggle with the issue of temptation. I know I do.
Right.
And then there are bigger trials that come along in life. I mean, it's not one horrendous experience after another every day. That's not what I'm talking about. But just the struggles that come, the struggles with holding my tongue, the struggles with not saying what I want to say, the struggles with being clean with what I want to say, my thought life, just...
And all that's just during this podcast.
Just right in the last 5 minutes, man.
Everything that you want to finally say to me here live on the air. It's interesting. One thing that's, I guess... it really just comes back to the mystery of the Lord, trying to figure out, like, how we all have different experiences at different times, and then how we need to be graceful with one another. Like my wife and I have not been going through a season of trial recently.
But you have been.
We have been in the past,
yes.
Absolutely. And right now, like, what we really feel like we've discerned is like, well, as long as this season of calm lasts, we want to do whatever we can to help other people. You know, another thing I thought of, and I know that you'll have something to say about this. It started a couple years ago, sort of the hashtag first world problems kind of thing, which, you know, obviously it's like when people complain about stuff that if you had any amount of perspective about what the world goes through, you probably wouldn't complain about it. Say about like, well, you know, this water out of the faucet tastes kind of funny. Oh, well, at least you have drinking water, unlike however many.
That's right.
But one thing that and you already kind of said this, but at the same time, like there are people going through trials that are unique to them, and that is still a trial in their life. I feel like is it possible that we overuse the first world problem to the point where like we downplay something that's genuinely frustrating somebody?
Well, we all get frustrated. You know, you need to keep everything in perspective. You know, that's why we all do it. We all say it. You know, gosh, when we see somebody that really has a struggle, we say, gosh, I really don't have any problems. You know, I don't know how many times that thought runs through my mind. I'm sitting around belly aching about something, and I turn around and I see somebody.
Right.
You know, one of these veterans who's home, they've lost a limb, they've lost an eye, they've lost, you know, whatever. And then I think to myself, I'm so ashamed that I was just grumping and griping about this over here.
Well, in that kind of perspective, it only comes with time. It only comes with greater wisdom. I really hear what you're saying. I thought that maybe I could give you an opportunity because you spent a long time really on verse 6. We had that really helpful testimony from the Burgess family, which was really moving.
You know, Sherry tweeted something this morning that I thought she said it better than I ever said it.
Oh, okay.
And I thought it was so good. I read it and I reread it and I read it again. If I can go back and find it.
Well, read that, and then I want to give you
When you face challenges in life, you have to know the who to get to the why. I was trying to say that yesterday. She said it so much better in this tweet. But if you know where to find your answers, you will learn how to go on no matter what you may be facing. I just thought that was a great statement along the lines of what I was trying to say yesterday. So
I need to follow her on Twitter, I guess. So they had that testimony, and then you said, well, let me come back and let me see if we can race through the rest of the pericope there.
Yeah.
You know, the sermon recap is technically supposed to be the director's cut for the sermon. So was there anything that you had to leave out here in verses 8 and 9?
No, he's talking about the genuineness of your faith, and we always say, well, it's going to, you know, we think more about the finished product of the gold. The emphasis there is on the process of it, is that your faith will go through the fire. That's why he comes over here in chapter 4 and he says this, don't be surprised at the fiery ordeal among you. You need to understand you are going to have trials. That's what he's been saying here. You're going to have trials. Some of them are going to be like being thrown into the fire. It's going to be incredibly hurtful. So in verse 7, that's what he's really, the emphasis there is that it's the process of the trials that you're going through. And through that, though you've not seen him, you love him. Though you do not see him now, you believe in him. And that creates the great rejoicing in the midst of the trial. That's the part of it that is joy inexpressible. That is not determined on the circumstance, it's determined on the relationship.
That's exactly. It's not the language isn't quite as complex, but I feel like that's what's illustrated in that meditation part in Waymaker when you say again, even when I don't see it, you're working.
Yes.
You know, here, even when I don't see you, you're alive. Even when I don't see you, you're in power. Even when I don't see you, it can fill me with joy.
Yep.
And that's so important. Like Peter, I mean, it's interesting every time you and me talk about this. You pull out another reference throughout this very short book where Peter circles back to the suffering angle. It's in chapter 1. It's in chapter 2. I don't know if it's in 3, but it's definitely in 4. No, it is in 3. Suffering for righteousness' sake, and it's in 4, and it's in 5. I mean, that's like the thesis of the whole book. So I guess I understand why he has to pepper those things in. If like, this is what fills you with inexpressible joy, like that continued encouragement as he circles back.
Well, I think the point is, and I didn't bring this out yesterday, the point is what I just said, is that your joy is not dependent on your circumstance. It's dependent on your relationship. You can go through fire, the fire of a trial, and yet there can be this joy and this rejoicing, this joy that he says is I can't explain it. I can't express it because of the not that in a, there used to be this was big when I was going through college, and there was a move of a charismatic move, and people got in their head. They counted all joy when various trials was, oh, I broke my leg, oh, praise the Lord, kind of deal. But that is so ridiculous. That's not what they're saying. They're just saying that even in the midst of the pain, it hurts. I broke my leg, I'm in pain, kind of deal. But I still have a joy because the joy is based on the relationship, not on the circumstance.
Is there a distinction then between that and then genuine persecution? Because we see that in Acts, how the disciples, after they were flogged, walked away rejoicing.
Yeah. Well, that's just another good text to go to look at, to see that it's not, I'm sure I can't imagine what it would be like to be whipped like that. But to walk away from that saying, thank you, Lord, that I did not recant. Hubmaier, well, let me give you a better one than that. Cranmer.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Recanted,
right.
And he signed the recantation. And then he went back and recanted the recantation. So, Bloody Mary, not Mary, Queen of Scots, that was a different Mary. Bloody Mary, the daughter of Henry VIII, and I think it was Catherine of Aragon. Their daughter, who becomes queen, she's queen for about 5-6 years, short period of time.
Enough
when
to
she
kill
goes to get, she gets Ridley, she gets Latimer, she gets Cranmer, and they bring Cranmer to the stake, and he says, stick this hand in first, because it was the one that signed the recantation. And
I love that story.
That's the joy there.
Yes.
Lord, thank you that I came through this struggle, this trial, and my faith is still intact.
So, we can make the distinction between a trial and persecution. I think that's important.
Yeah, I would say persecution is a trial, but yes, they're various.
You got me. You're right.
Very colored. Right. They're different. Persecution, this, that, the other. Whatever you're going through this Monday morning, like me, because I'm about to just fall out this chair.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell Jeff you're just not coming to the next meeting. I'll cover for you. I'll just lead the whole thing, and
I'll go back to my little office and put my little head on my desk.
Decide your next sermon series for you, and
no, don't do that.
Sing
that would be a
the astronauts hymn next week, and.
Yeah. God,
what is that one? I listened back. Whatever.
Did you ever listen to that?
No, I listened back to the podcast, and when I heard those lyrics again, I was like, "This is just bizarre."
Yeah. We can't get over that hymn.
All right. Well, I guess we better get back to work. Hey, we love you guys. We know you'll see this on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribing already. And for all our friends on Facebook, you got any questions, you can hit us up. John Sistrunk asked me for the commentary.
Right, Kirkwood.
Right, he's got way too much email. I clearly don't have enough to do. So
I had a lady last night from Tucson, Arizona, actually write me on Twitter and say, "Can you tell me all the books, all the biographies, all the history books that you read last year?" What did I read last year?
Yeah, you lose track of it.
Yeah.
Even Pat Sawyer said that last night. It was kind of a humble brag, though. He's like, I just read so many books. I was like,
well, he does.
Better than me. Yeah, that guy's a voracious reader. Big time. All right, well, I probably need to get back to reading. I need to read more.
Bye-bye.
Bye. See ya.
God bless.
Did you see how Brady's going to the Super Bowl?